was Ada Lovelace, a visionary, a mathematician, and a person who envisioned that what computers could become even before they existed. Hello world! That is probably the first statement almost everybody of us prints, right? But do you know who was the first person in the human history to write an algorithm? And I'm not saying the first man or the first woman, but the first person. It was Ada Lovelace, a visionary, a mathematician, and a person who envisioned that what computers could become even before they existed. So today, we are going to hear her story. She was very young when her parents separated. Her mother was afraid that she would grow up to be exactly like her father, Lord Byron, poet, the poet. Brilliant, emotional, but chaotic. So, she decided that Ada's world will be devoid of creativity, stories, fairy tales, and her world will be full of mathematics, logic, discipline. And that was Ada's world. That was the world that Ada grew up in. At 17, Ada dressed up and went to a party. And there, she met Charles Babbage. He showed everybody a weird-looking mechanical machine with levers and gears. And what everybody saw was a calculating machine. But what Ada saw was the future. What she envisioned is our reality today. So, not all parties are bad. While looking at Babbage's plan, Ada stumbled upon to something that nobody did. A machine that could process symbols, patterns, and information. And if a machine can process the patterns underneath instead of just doing the math, then the machine can do far more than calculate, right? And that was the time when Ada envisioned something which was wild for her time. She imagined art, creativity, music, everything using a machine which was actually a century away. She just didn't see the machine that Babbage brought to the party. She expanded it. She is the definition of visionary. So, in 1842, Ada gets a call from her friend Charles Wheatstone. She asked Ada if she could just maybe translate the paper that was written about Babbage's analytical engine that was written in French and translate it to English. And she happily agreed. But when she started reading the paper, she realized that actually he has not fully understood what Babbage's machine was all about. So she started translating, but soon enough, it was not just translating, she started adding footnotes about the machine could also do this and the machine could also do that. And actually, she ended up writing a manifesto of her own. She started with a paper that was approximately 8,000 words, and the paper by Ada was 22,000 words. That was approximately 3 times. Now, when Babbage actually read that paper, he was amazed. Of course he would be, because, he never thought about that in that way. So he said that it is extraordinary. And specifically, there was a section known as Note G, which was like, it actually took Babbage by a surprise that time. G, Ada describes in meticulous detail that how this analytical engine can be used to calculate a sequence of numbers called the Bernoulli numbers. They are complex and they are used in advanced mathematics, but that's not the point here, right? The point is that she just didn't say that, okay, this machine can calculate these numbers. No, that's not what she said. She described in meticulous detail that how this machine will do it, how it will take a specific number, then do this operation, and how it will store it, how it will retrieve it, and what will happen if the condition is true and it will continue, and what will happen if the condition is false and it will stop. I mean, she described what we call an algorithm today. But just when I think about it, It was 1843. Houses barely had electricity, and there were no telegrams, they were merely a thing. And this lady describes an algorithm. It's not about, it's not just about that she described an algorithm, it's about what she understood about what it meant. What everyone around Ada, including Babbage, saw in an analytical machine that would take number in and spit number out. But what she saw was that this machine could create music, could infer the patterns, the relationships between the symbols. Actually, what she saw is general purpose computing. And when this work got printed, at that point of time, it was printed with her initials ALA, right? But what happened was that people were not ready to believe at all that this work was done by her, that it was her original work. And even Babbage came forward, defended her, but there always remained a doubt. Because at that point of time, women were not allowed to do mathematics. Leave about doing so advanced one, right? So her work just remained obscure, she became invisible, and in 1952, she died when she was just 36 years old. The sad part is that for most of her life, and even after 100 years of her death, she was invisible. Her work was invisible. Her work was gathering dust in the archives. Not because her work was not brilliant, but because she was a woman, and she dared to see what the brightest minds of that time couldn't. And it was only after 100 years, when we were trying to build modern computers, someone came across her work and they understood that she already did what we are trying to do. She already knew what we would do even before we even tried it. And that was the sad part. Today, we have Ada Lovelace Day. We celebrate it to honor her for her contributions in computer science. And in 1980, the US Defense Department designed a programming language which they named after her. It was called Ada. But what still, I can't get this out of my mind, that for most of her life,